All right. Thank you for coming. I'm Shauna Lawson. I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving at UW Tacoma. Congratulations to the class of 2022. Thank you for joining us in the Grad Experience for our Cracking the Professional Development Code event. We will get started with the land acknowledgement, the Share the Land acknowledgement. We recognize that all of us at UW Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are situated on the traditional territory of the Puyallup. As people on this occupied territory, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the histories of dispossession and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our Indigenous community members and neighbors as we continue our work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. So we ask that you remain muted during the event. There will be a Q&A at the end. You can enter your questions in the Zoom chat, or you may come off of mute. I'll now turn this over to our presenter, Hillary Ryan. She's the marketing manager from the Professional Development Center at UW Tacoma. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you guys today. I am so excited to share this topic, cracking the professional development code, and we'll just get started. Let me share my screen. Well, thank you all for being here. I first want to say congratulations to all the seniors that are graduating. It's an important and exciting time, and these last few years haven't been easy, so you've made a huge accomplishment. And it's great that you take some time to learn a little bit about professional development because it's going to be part of the future of your learning. And we want you to know that University of Washington Tacoma is here for you on your career journey. So your relationship doesn't end at graduation. We're a resource for you throughout your career. And that's kind of what I'm here to talk about. So the first thing I have to say is what is professional development and why should you even care? So this is an important thing to know, so that basically professional development is continuing education. It's the career training that you get after you've entered the workforce that helps you develop new skills, stay up to date on current trends, and advance your career. And the question is, why should you care about this? You definitely have spent a lot of time and effort getting to your degree and graduating, but why should you care about continuing on? Well, there's a couple different reasons that we think you should care about professional development. The first thing is the skills gap that's happening in our country right now and actually around the world. There's a huge skill gap in the workforce. So according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, 75% of hiring managers are experiencing a skills gap in the workforce, which makes hiring a real challenge. This means there are an abundance of opportunities for skilled job seekers right now. And in addition, job seekers are recognizing that they need to keep learning. The Pew Charitable Trust found that 87% of adults in the workforce know that it will be essential for them to get training and develop new skills throughout their careers. And they need to keep up with changes to keep their career moving forward. And so there's a lot of different things to think about that as far as the skills that you need to gain moving forward. There are soft skills, there are digital tech skills, there are leadership skills, and of course there's going to be industry specific skills. So there's a lot of opportunity to continue to build your skill set throughout your career, and professional development is how you can do that. Another thing to think about why you should care is the concept of the 60-year curriculum. So what researchers are finding is that as we live longer, and they expect folks who are in their 20s now to about 50% of them to live until they're 100 years old, the stages of your career are going to be very different than previous generations. So it's not necessarily going to be a linear path of education, work, and retire. There are going to be different stages of your career and different parts of your life that you're going to explore education. So they have this graphic here, which really talks about sort of that path, and you can see where professional development or non-traditional academics would be part of that. It could be an enrichment course that you take. It could be a certificate program. I could talk about those. It could be a boot camp that you take on because you know you need to get expertise really quickly in a specific area. It could be an online course. Of course, those are growing in leaps and bounds. And then there's a lot of lifelong learning that's happening past retirement. So there are a lot of seniors who are really getting involved in learning different things that they didn't have time during their career to learn. So really feel that lifelong learning is definitely the way of the future. Some other reasons you should care is that throughout your life, your personal goals and needs will change. You might expand your family. You might need to move. There are a lot of different things that can happen in your life that would require additional education in order to be successful in your career. If you are in certain jobs, continuing education is actually mandatory for you to keep your license or your certification. Most people are probably familiar with teachers who have to have recertification credits of a certain amount every year, and that applies to a lot of other professions as well, where in order to keep your certification, to keep your job, you need to have continuing education. And that's just part of the career path. And then another thing to think about is sort of the baseline is if investing in your own career and your career development sets you up for success. That's really, that's universal. If you invest the time and energy in building your career, you're more likely to be successful to reach your goals. So the benefits, right? The benefits of professional development. We kind of said why you should care. And here's what you get, right? You get an opportunity to expand your knowledge base. It definitely is something that we see with our students boosts their confidence. They feel more, they have more mastery over subjects and feel like they can present or talk more deeply about the work that they are doing. It certainly increases your earning potential and your hireability. In fact, we definitely know from recruiters and from HR professionals that showing recent professional development, recent coursework makes you a more attractive candidate because it shows that you are investing in learning the skills that you need to be current. Professional development also, in many cases, can provide an opportunity for you to build a network. Certainly, we have students that have gone through the professional development centers programs who say that the network that they got was almost as valuable as the education or the knowledge that they gained because they have a group of peers that they can turn to with questions, and they've also been able to, launch their careers or find new jobs because of the folks that they've met in their programs. Also, professional development, and I think this is really true, people are changing their careers or changing their trajectory often. You're not going to, work for the same company for 40 years as previous generations might have done. And people are changing, drastically. They may have gone to school and decided to, pursue a degree in elementary education and are teaching, and now have found that they want to do something else and know that they need to figure out a way to take the skills and experience that they have into the next career, but also need to figure out the knowledge base that they are missing or lacking in order to start down a different career path. So I just like to go over sort of the basic sort of ideas about what professional development what it really looks like. I've broken it here into sort of two categories, a formal category and an informal category. And I'll talk a little bit about these. So certainly, probably the most obvious is in the formal is membership into professional organizations. Pretty much every job that you have in one way or another is associated with professional organization. I have a colleague here at UWT who is working in conference services, and there is a association of folks who do conference service and rentals for universities, if you can believe that. And they have local chapters, and they have a local conference, and they share their learnings throughout the year, and they're a great network of folks to work with. And so that's a way that this individual continues to grow their professional development, is involvement in that organization. Like I mentioned, there certainly are conferences and workshops that you can attend that you don't have to be a member of a particular organization. Usually you get a discount if you are, but there certainly are many things that you can sign up to do on your own that are offered through organizations, both government as well as 501c3 nonprofit organizations, or training within your business or your government agency. Another way of doing professional development is having a coach, getting a personal one-on-one coach, which is similar down below to mentoring, although a coach is probably somebody that you pay, and a mentor is somebody that you that does the work with you for free. But that is another way. That one-on-one training is a way of having somebody help assess your skills and get you to the place that you want to go in the next stage in your career. I mentioned before, continuing education credits are those are the things that are mandatory to keep up your certification and lots of different things. Certificate programs. Certificate programs are something that we offer through the Professional Development Center. And those are programs that take place. Ours run about 9 months and go for 3 quarters. And at the end of it, you receive a certification in whatever particular subject matter that you have been studying. So it's a bridge often for folks after they've graduated with their bachelor's and before they're ready to go into a master's. They want to have an additional level of expertise. And so we have a lot of folks doing that. And then there are a community of practices. So that's, sort of an informal group of folks who gather together to share learning in particular subject matter and areas. I've certainly been part of several of these locally of just folks that get together and share best practices and also share problems and help each other figure out how to do problem solving. Now, informal professional development is something that's seen a huge growth recently. Microlearning, which I talk about as the courses of work that you could do through LinkedIn Learning or through Coursera. There are other opportunities to do that. A lot of it's online, which are short, very short courses. Some of those courses are, an hour long, right? So you do that learning on your own time, at your own pace through those providers. And in some cases you have to pay for that. In some cases that's free, but it is, can give you a taste of what it is that you would learn in a course that you would pay for and have done in person or delivered by a professional. You can do job shadowing, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. That's a way of learning more about your own professional development and where you want to go. And of course, there's reading, right? Learning, keeping up to date. Now, I put reading on here, but it could be also, YouTube. It could be, there are a lot of different ways to continue to be up to date on the things that are important in your particular sector of work. So there are a lot of different ways to go about professional development, and at different points in your career, different parts, different types will be more applicable than others, depending on the time you have, the energy you have, the specific skill set that you're trying to learn. But there are a lot of different options, and I just wanted to make sure that you kind of could see that it takes a lot of different forms as continuing education. So the meat of this presentation is how to crack the professional development code. And I have a couple of suggestions about how to crack the professional development code. I will go into a couple of these in more detail, but let's just start here. I definitely think that it's important to have a career timeline with milestones. You have just reached a milestone, graduating, getting this major milestone of graduating from UW is a huge milestone. That is something that is incredibly important in your career journey. But setting out what the other milestones are that you're going to achieve, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a minute. Creating a professional development plan is what creates the fuel to get from milestone to milestone, or from place to place, depending on how far out your milestones are from each other. And I will talk a little bit about what it takes to create a professional development plan for yourself. There are a lot of resources about that, and what I will give you is just a brief outline of that. I think the other thing that we recommend to folks is that you take advantage of every single training program offered by your employer. They're providing you opportunities to learn that you may or may not know will be applicable moving forward, but by taking advantage of those, you're also indicating that you are a learner and are invested in growing your own career. And so if it's offered by your employer, see if you can fit it into your schedule. Mentoring is also another great way to crack the professional development code. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes and durations, and there's lots of different organizations that can help you find a mentor through the work that you do. Certainly, if you join a professional organization, there are often mentor programs within those, connecting members to other members to help them on their career journeys. And another way to crack the professional development code is to consider, when you're working, to consider a lateral move. Consider the work that you're doing perhaps on a team, and if an opportunity were to arise on a different team doing the same work, taking that opportunity so that you learn more about the business or about the activity that you're pursuing, also gives you just a wider understanding of the work that you're doing and how it can apply it in different ways. So you may not necessarily be learning new skills, but you're learning how to apply those skills in a different way. And that can also be an important way to think about cracking the professional development code, making forward progress in your career. So I just wanted to give you a little idea of what a career timeline could look like. So this is a timeline that was developed by the Youngstown State. You can see, so this is somebody's plan that they put together for themselves. Maybe they had some assistance from a career center or from a mentor, but they started with their bachelor's degree and they built on that their master's degree in writing, and they took their first job as a technical writer. And what they had mapped out here is kind of a career journey, right? So they might have started with writing, but by the end of this career journey, they've moved into a much more analytical, business-oriented job. And they may or may not even know that that job existed when they started out, but they knew that they wanted to move past what it was to be a technical writer and look for opportunities. And you can see here that there are the lines aren't necessarily indicative of the actual time, because you can see there's a huge gap between their first jump from a technical writer into a quality assurance analyst, but then shorter jumps further on as opportunities existed for them. So I think that's another thing to think about, is what those milestones may not be equally spaced out, and may also take advantage of opportunities that are presented, or you might not necessarily know about ahead of time. So thinking about those career changes in this sort of plan, I mentioned earlier that a professional development plan is how you get from point A to point B. And so if you're that technical writer and you've been in your job for 6 years or 10 years and you want to change, how is it that you make that change? And so professional development plan is what we think about it is a living document. It's something that will change over time. And it helps you discover and establish your career timeline with clear and intentional stages, right? So you set that out ahead of time about what it is you want to achieve. You focus on what's important to you for you to achieve your career dreams. And that looks different for different people, and certainly at different stages of your career. For some people, it may be heading up to C-suite positions. And for some people, it may be working with more autonomy and having a more creative job. Whatever the career dream that you have can be molded into your professional development plan. And we talk about professional development plans as sort of 4 stages. And these are stages that hopefully should be, self-explanatory and familiar to you, but let's just walk through them really quickly. The first thing is to identify, what your needs are and what your goals are. Do some self-reflection, do some research, right? What is it that you need to learn? So you need to ask, where are you now? What are you good at? And what do you need to strengthen? Could that be a hard skill, something that you need to learn how to do or manipulate? Maybe it's working with data. Or is it soft skill? Do you need to gain some leadership skills because you want to move in a more in a management track in your career journey? Where do you want to go? These look different. Do you want to stay in the sector that you're in? Would you like to change the sector or change the type of work that you're doing within the sector? So you need to assess your skills and experience and really think about going deeper than what's on your resume. Really ask yourself some hard questions about what you're good at and what you need to learn more about in order to take the next step to meet those goals. Step 2 is really doing your information gathering. What is it that you need to know to move on to the next, to reach those goals? And where can you get that training? There's lots, as I mentioned, there's lots of different ways of doing professional development. So it could be attending a workshop, or it may be actually needing to do a whole certificate program. There are, a wide variety of things there. We also want people to understand that they also need to, on this journey, right, think about what obstacles might be in their way and what they will do when facing those obstacles. So if time is an obstacle, that you have limited time, you need to seek out a program that's flexible around your schedule. You can't drop everything in the middle of the day to attend a lecture or a workshop. You need something that's on the weekends or at night. Or maybe you are working, in the evenings, and you also have a family, and so you need something that you can do on demand. And there are certainly, plenty of options to do professional development on demand. So you need to figure out that, and in that is, once you've identified what it is that you want to do and what those obstacles are, you need to develop an action plan, what it is you're going to do, by when, and how you're going to strategically achieve your goal. Step 3 is to do it, right? Sign up, get involved, do what it is that you need to do to work on those goals, execute that plan. And step 4, which is super important because this is a living document, is going to change. You need to think about applying what it is that you learn to your career journey, and reflecting and reassessing, because it's a constant moving forward, right? It's a moving target. You're going to continue to grow and change your needs over the course of your career. So that's kind of the basics of doing a professional development plan. I think one of the things that people often ask is, how do I get support for professional development? You guys have just completed a huge milestone with your degree, and probably doing a lot of financial investment into your professional career right now is probably not top of mind. But for your employers, you can think about how you approach this with them. So important part to talk about is, how are you going to get support, when I'm talking about financial support, but also the time it takes to be dedicated out of your career time, your work time to do this work. I think we're in a really unique period of time right now where professional development is seen as not only good for employees, for the individual, but also for the organization or the business. With this huge wave of people resigning and looking for different work, the onus on human resources or hiring parts of different organizations is huge to find qualified candidates, and also to retain the employees that they have. One of the things that definitely has helped a lot of folks is professional development. Offering that is something that is part of an attractive signing package or opportunity for you to get compensation. So in addition to your salary benefits, what professional development resources are part of that package are becoming more and more important for employers to offer. And employers are also looking at that it's important to keep their employees continuing to grow, right? So there's a lot of movement there. Before the pandemic, there was a lot of movement, and there's continuing to be a lot of movement. And the longer you stay with an employer, the more value you have. And in addition, the more learning that you have that you can bring into the workplace, you're again having more impact. So it helps the organization. Asking for professional development support really is a win-win for them. So you can ask yourself, what's in it for them? There are a lot of different things, but definitely will have an impact on the way that work gets done at that organization. We also recommend that people ask for specific support. And so just going in and saying, oh, professional development is probably not going to get you the result that you want. Identifying in your professional development plan what it is specifically that you're asking for support on, whether it is membership in an organization, attending a conference, doing a certificate program, asking specifically about what it is that you want will gain you more traction with your employer, and it will also help them see how that will impact more specifically the work that you do. A lot of organizations, especially those that have conferences, have pre-written statements of purpose or case statements or emails to your boss saying all the things that you will learn. So don't feel like you have to go it alone to create this case. You can certainly look out there for examples and samples that you can use as a template in order to ask for that support. And I think also important, getting support becomes very relevant when you bring that information back and you report back in what you learned, whether that's giving a presentation to your group or coming back with 3 big takeaways I got from going to this workshop are ... Not just letting that information sit in your head and going back to the job the way it has always been, but thinking about how that new knowledge can be applied to the work that you're doing, and you can demonstrate that you actually got additional career advancement from doing that work. So that's a lot, right? And over time, it's going to look like professional development is going to look different for different people. But like I said, UW-T is here for you. The Professional Development Department is a department that's been with the UW-T here. Our professional development department is about 20 years old. I'll go into more detail about kind of what it is that we focus on, but we have 5 certificate programs. We have a national certification. We're the only folks in the state of Washington that offer a certified public manager program, which is very popular with the governmental agencies. And we have folks from all over the state who come to UW-T to take that course and get that certificate. We also have a lot of open enrollment courses. So You don't have to apply to get into one of our courses. You can just sign right up. You can start at any time. So if you want to start in spring, you can start in spring. If you want to take a class over the summer, you can take a class over the summer. There are a lot of different entry and exit points for you to make it work within your schedule and what you're interested in. We also recently added a whole list of self-paced on-demand courses. So these are courses that you do when it works for you. And many of them actually stack into a certificate. So you can earn, you can go through a variety of these different courses and then get to a place where you can take get to a certification for many different fields. And those are all available through our website. They're provided by a third party and which has been vetted by the UWT. So we know that it has, high quality, these are high quality courses. We also offer customized training, just to let you know that. So we definitely go into workplaces and bring some of the training that we have to a larger team. So it's not just individuals getting the professional development. We've definitely done that for leadership and management courses. Also done it for and are growing an interest in doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work for companies and for organizations. So we can modify our instructors to do that. And then we do a lot of partnerships. So we have partnerships with academic units within UWT. We have courses with the School of Engineering Technology around big data and software development. We do things with Milgard as well around leadership. So there are a lot of things that we're doing that build off of the expertise that are here on campus. And one big difference about what we offer as professional development that it would be different from other forms of education, I guess, is that our classes are all taught by people that are actually doing the work in the field, right? So if you're taking a class on project management, that class is taught by somebody who is a project manager and has been a project manager for a significant period of time. So they have actual lived experience that they can relate to the work. It is not the courses that we offer are not simply academic. They're definitely hands-on, real life scenarios applicable to the work that you're doing right now. And taught by folks who are not going to just teach you the theory, they're going to teach you how to put things into practice in whatever subject you're looking for. As far as sort of the wide variety of things, right now, this is kind of the menu. We have a sort of three kind of buckets of things. We do business and leadership courses, everything from finance and some career skills to the whole range of Lean Six Sigma. You can go from white belt to black belt with us. Project management, I've mentioned before. We are growing out our social impact work. We definitely have done a lot within human resources. We're fairly well known for our nonprofit management courses. And we're developing a DEI certification that will be starting this fall. In addition, like I mentioned, we have lots of data classes, and everything from social media and web design all the way through big data. So there's a whole variety. And I think this is definitely a part of our class offerings that's going to continue to grow, and certainly in the next couple of years, because this is certainly a place that skills gap has shown to be most relevant. Then just want to let you know a couple of other things. If you're an alumni association member, you get 15% off a class with us. So there's a little incentive to join up to be an alumni association member. And this summer we have something called the Summer Sampler, which is basically little tastes of the professional development courses that we have offered at noon. For free in a webinar style. They're taught by our instructors. They give you a little opportunity to kind of get to know what it is that you would learn if you took coursework with those instructors. They're on a whole wide variety of subject matter, and you can find all of that on our website at Professional Development Center, part of UWT. Finally, I just want to leave you with this. You are lifelong learners. You chart your future. And if you don't design your life plan, chances are you're going to fall into somebody else's life plan. And guess what? They don't have much plan for you. So we really want to encourage folks to take ownership of their career development, understand that, yes, you've reached a huge milestone here, and we're here for you as you aim towards the milestones in your career path moving forward. So thank you guys so much for your time. And I'm definitely, we have a little bit of time for questions, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions as I can.
Thank you, Hillary. This is important information. Definitely the questions have been coming in since you started
Okay.
the presentation. So I'm going to start from the top here. Marion has a question. She says, how do we include any professional development course or programs in a CV or resume?
Oh, great question. So most folks that will have you do a CV or resume will have a section broken out for education. And you just add that coursework right in there. I also have seen people who, put in information about conferences that they've attended. They show that they are active within that field, and certainly if they present at any of those conferences. But I would say put that right in with your education. Put it on your LinkedIn. Put it on your LinkedIn under certifications or additional education. Don't be shy. I definitely have a recruiter friend who says, when she sees that somebody's done recent professional development on a resume, it pops and makes her pay attention. So don't be shy putting it on there.
Okay, her next question is, will these slides be available after the event?
Oh, they can be. I can work with Chana to figure out where they can live for sure.
Okay, great. And yes, this event it's recorded right now, and the recordings will be shared with the class of 2022. So we will also get that out to all the grads. It will also be on YouTube, so it'll be accessible to the community as well. Let's see. From Marion again, Hillary, you mentioned work might support you in taking professional development courses. Is that something we should be negotiating with our employer, or is it something already available with funds and we just need to seek it out?
I think that's a both question, right? So it kind of depends on where you are in your if you're already hired somewhere, then you can definitely ask if there are professional development funds available. Usually they're earmarked per department, or sometimes they're per staff member, and you can get a budget. Yes, we have $500 per staff member, or we have, in this department, we have $2,000, or in some places $20,000. It just depends on where you are. But I do think if you are negotiating in the negotiation process of getting a new job, and this is part of your compensation package, so I would certainly ask about that. And I think a smart employer is going to take that as a sign that you are invested in your career and you're serious about bringing forward momentum to your learning as an employee. I think it is, compensation is more than your salary and your benefits. Professional development is part of that. Ask about PTO and ask about professional development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Olivia has a question about help getting government jobs, where he should go for that.
I think the first place that I would recommend is the Career Center. So I would definitely touch base with those folks and see what they have as far as recommendation. Government job is kind of a big category. So I think I would need to know a little bit more specific about what it is that you're looking for. But there certainly are lots of different entry points, whether it's a state, is that a state job? Is it a county? Is it federal? It kind of would depend on what part of the government that you're interested in.
The question about the DEI, that's a new opportunity. And I was trying to think who you go through for the teachers, because you said they are actually doing the work. So is there a list that's accessible where you can see who all is teaching the course, or does that come out, when the information for that course comes out?
Yeah, so we're in the process right now of building out our fall catalog. We're not quite as ahead of the game as I would hope we would be at this point. But yes, when we list our courses, the instructor is listed with them. On our website, we have short bios of all of our instructors, as well as links to either their website or to their LinkedIn, so you can learn more about them. With new DEI coursework, I believe there will be additional instructors added. I'm not a program development manager, so I'm not, one of my colleagues is doing that work. So I don't know exactly, but we have had several courses, workshops on DEI subjects this year and last year, using local instructors. So there is some information about the folks that have been teaching with us thus far.
Okay, and I did put a link in the chat for the Professional Development Center page. I think it's a little long, but it'll get them there. So if there's anything coming up, I just want to encourage people to go to that page and see what's been going on and what's coming up.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say in closing, thanks for your time. I think don't wait and think, okay, I'll get to professional development in 2 years or 5 years, or when I feel like I need it. Explore what we have to offer here at UW-T as you head out into your new career. Think about how that might be helpful in the career journey that you want to go on, and stay in touch. I think as alum, we want to be, here to support you and help you be successful, and don't feel like that relationship ends and you walk out the door with your graduation diploma and that's the end. I know there's lots of great ways to get involved with the Alumni Association. They have lots of fun together and do great things for the campus. And there are a lot, your story and your journey isn't over with UW-T.
Exactly. Thank you. Marion says, thank you, Ms. Ryan and Ms. Lawson. I really appreciate your time. And thank you for organizing this really important session for graduating students. Thanks, Marion. We appreciate that. We're just trying to definitely make sure you guys are ready when you leave here and take all the opportunities. With that, I guess I do have some other links I want to share. For the class of 2022, Tacoma Husky Landing is our networking platform. Networking is important to your career. You will find the Professional Development Center on that platform as well. So you definitely want to visit there for all the resources. The 2022 Grad Experience, which you're already involved in, there will be more events coming up. So I'm putting a link in the chat for that. And I know that we have the grad celebration and new alumni happy hour coming up tomorrow, and that's an in-person event at 7 Seas Brewery. So you'll want to go on there to see it. And there's also an escape room experience at the UW-Y. So I'm putting that in here. And then there's the senior class gift. I'll just put the link in there. To find out more about the senior class gift, you'll want to click on that link and bookmark it. And that way you can find out more of what the class of 2022 is doing and how you can support it. Okay, with that, we value your time. We ended a little early, but I'm glad that we got this information to you. Feel free to reach out and access these links if you have any questions. Thank you.